This season just never ceases to amaze me. Just when you think that you've seen it all, just when you think that nothing more can surprise you, our two title protagonists just keep on outdoing our expectations. It seems fitting that after one of the greatest seasons in the history of Formula 1, and certainly the best season since 2012, we have a title decider that is worthy of this incredible season. Coming into Abu Dhabi, Formula 1 has not been in this position for a very long time, with two drivers from different teams this close on points and both deserving of winning it all. But it wouldn't be F1 and it wouldn't be the 2021 season if we also wouldn't be going into the final race off the back of yet another controversial incident between Lewis and Max. I'm still yet to find the words to describe just how ridiculous it is that after 21 races, both Max and Lewis are going into a title decider on the exact same number of points. It really is almost a video game situation where the winner takes all. This actually isn't the first time that this has happened in F1. Back in 1974, both Clay Regazzoni and Emerson Fittipaldi, after 14 races, went into the title decider level on points. But even then, it was a little bit different because in third place was Jody Scheckter, who also, technically going into the last race, had an outside chance of the title if he won the race and both of the other two scored no points. Now, however, in 2021, this is purely a head-to-head battle between Lewis and Max, and come the checkered flag on Sunday, one of them is going to be crowned champion, and either way, history will be made. Looking back at the season so far, without me giving you a boring race-by-race rundown, what I've loved watching is the fans both from my channel and on social media kind of go backwards and forwards throughout the season in terms of who's got the better car and who is going to win the championship. I mean, after Lewis's win in Spain, it looked like Red Bull just didn't have enough. Then after back-to-back wins in Austria, it looked like Max was going to run away with it. Then after Silverstone and Hungary, it looked like Max just couldn't catch a break and that Lewis was going to run away with it. Then after two straight wins, Max retook the lead of the championship at Zandvoort and he was the favourite again. Then we get to Turkey where the Mercedes was the better package and the narrative was back to Lewis making a comeback. Then we left Mexico after a dominant Verstappen win, and you guessed it, it's back to Max domination and easy championship. And then yet again, in what seems like the last big turning point after Lewis's win in Brazil, it seems like the late season momentum is with him, and maybe you can say that on momentum alone, he is now the slight favourite going into the decider. The point I'm trying to make is that the randomness of people literally saying that the championship is over every single time each driver and team have a dominant weekend because their package was just better, that's what's been exciting and that's what's kept us guessing when we think we have the season figured out. The two drivers themselves, in a strange way, are almost like yin and yang. This fight is so perfect because Lewis and Max are so different. On one side you have the older, battle-tested, 7-time world champion who on the track has nothing to prove and off the track is outgoing and wants to do more than just race. Then on the other hand you have the young charger who's been waiting 6 years for a championship-capable car, and off the track he's happy to be playing FIFA in his Monaco apartment, and racing is the only talking he wants to do. This generational aspect is always fascinating because it puts together two different generations of drivers on the same level, and it also sometimes puts together two different generations of fans as well. In the 90s, we were tragically robbed of the generational battle between the established champion Ayrton Senna and the young maverick Michael Schumacher. But now, finally in 2021, we've got it. Both of these two drivers are also going about this championship in very different ways. We've seen their two contrasting styles play out throughout 2021, and last time out in Jeddah was yet another example. Now, what I want to say first off about Jeddah is that the funny part is, once I went back and fully analysed the race, all of the carnage, all of the risky overtakes, the penalty drama, and that strange collision were actually a little bit irrelevant because I don't think that Max would have had enough tyres to hold Lewis off anyway. Max being put on the mediums was a big gamble by Red Bull. Yes, that helped him be later on the brakes and get the track position, which was their intention, but by the time we got to lap 37 out of 50, Lewis was all over the back of Max because that hard tyre offset in pace had now caught up to the wear of the mediums, and again, this was with 13 laps still to go. Either way, it was never going to be just a boring DRS pass, was it? When it comes to their battle at turn 1 on lap 37, Max went in too deep, lost the car having to correct a big snap at the rear, and went off the track and maintained the position. That was his fault, and it was a very simple case of going off the track and maintaining an advantage. It was literally just a slower version of what happened at turn 4 in Sao Paulo. Now, I've banged on enough about how the stewards in Brazil absolutely bottled it by not even choosing to investigate it, and also how the other drivers during the drivers' meeting in Qatar were reportedly very angry at what precedent the stewards set. But to their credit in Saudi Arabia, although there was zero consistency with Brazil, at least they did come to the right conclusion and did instruct the team to hand the position back. What I find fascinating, and this is perhaps just a window into the ruthless mentality of Max Verstappen, is what he said in the post-race press conference when talking about being the only driver to receive a penalty for it.
I find it interesting that I am the one who gets a penalty when both of us run outside of the white lines. In Brazil it was fine, and now suddenly I get a penalty for it. Well, you could clearly see both didn't make the corner.
That quote tells me a lot because I don't know about anyone else, but the reason why Lewis did not make the corner is because he was literally run off the road because Max was not in full control of his car. And again, he referenced Brazil as if now that's the standard of fair racing, which it absolutely is not. Uncompromising. That's the one word that best describes Max Verstappen. His approach to racing is very linear. He's extremely talented and he's ultra aggressive, and he really lives in the moment. It's not about thinking a few races ahead or thinking of the long term, it's about pushing all out right now, regardless if there's room for any margin. Now, I don't want to make it sound like this is almost entirely a negative. Let's not forget that it's this mentality and it's his talent that almost kind of rattled Lewis at the beginning of the year. And his style, whether you like it or not, this is why he led the championship for a huge portion of the season, and why even going into the last round he is still as much of a danger as Hamilton to win it all. But I do think that whilst watching Max drive on that slippery limit is so exciting, when he does push it over the top, I don't think he's got anyone in his corner that actually tells him that he's gone over the limit. Certainly it's not his team principal, because I think Christian Horner is so wrapped up in this title fight and he wants to win so much that whilst he knows that Max is special and has done a brilliant job, it doesn't look like he wants to tell Max to calm it down a bit because it might take him out of his rhythm. It's difficult to tell a star driver that they're doing something wrong, especially when they're operating at their absolute best. But even Michael Schumacher, when he tried to take out Jacques Villeneuve in the 1997 title decider, he convinced himself that it was Jacques that turned in on him. But Ross Brawn and Jean Todt later admitted that they had to calm Michael down and almost convince him that he really did make a mistake and that it really was his fault. In terms of later on in the race, we then get to the incident. Now, the FIA told Red Bull that Max had to hand the position back, and that's when Gianpiero Lambassi went on the radio and told Max to hand the position back strategically. From Lewis's point of view and from everything that I've heard, I get that he wasn't actually told because the team were being informed that Max was going to hand the place back at the exact moment that the incident happened. But at the same time, he also was putting on a bit of a show, in my opinion, of making it seem like he had no idea of what was happening.
But I hadn't yet had the information yet of that he would be backing off. So all of a sudden, he started slowing down into 27, where the DRS zone is, and but it wasn't quite clear for me. It was a bit confusing, and then all of a sudden, he slowed down at a rapid pace, and that's when I had to avoid going completely up the backside of him.
I think Lewis knew exactly what was happening. First of all, if you have just been overtaken off the track by the car ahead, you'd be waiting to either be given the place back or waiting for them to get a penalty. So when he saw Max pulling over and going slowly, he didn't then just slow down with him because he wasn't sure of what was going on. He was tucked under his rear wing because, just like he mentioned, both of them were playing games and trying to get the DRS for the main straight. Calculated. That's the one word that I'd use to describe Lewis Hamilton. Make no mistake, Lewis knew exactly what he was doing, and he also has to take a portion of the blame for not just driving past Max immediately, but he also knew the importance of not allowing Max to have the DRS. Then we get to the contact itself. Now, the post-race investigation actually worried me because it proved that Max did partially brake test Lewis out of sheer frustration of seeing Lewis behind him playing the exact same DRS games as he was. The stewards, once they got the telemetry from the cars, cited that Max had used 69 bar of brake pressure, which resulted in 2.4 Gs of deceleration. Now, 2.4 Gs of deceleration is not coasting with your foot off the throttle, and something that I tweeted was that what Max did at turn 1 when he missed the corner was just a mistake and a misjudgment in wheel-to-wheel combat, which is normal in racing. But what happened on the straight was a conscious decision to try and brake check Lewis to potentially cause damage to him. There was more shenanigans later on in the race, like Lewis basically not steering and almost running Max off the track in retaliation, which I think just shows how equally frustrated Lewis was because of Max. Now, I'm gonna end it there in terms of where the drivers now stand after Saudi, because otherwise this video could be 30 minutes long, and although that race was chaotic and dramatic, I don't actually think it was a good advertisement of fair and hard racing from either of them. Going into the title decider, you can't hide the tension between the drivers, the team principals, the teams, and also the fans. Regardless of any criticism, both of these two drivers have been outstanding in 2021, and both have the car to win the championship. They are going about their racing in a very different way, but in my opinion, regardless of whoever wins, I don't think that you can use the excuse of he didn't have a good enough car. Periodically, both the Red Bull and Mercedes have had their moments, and to me, it's evened out to the point where simply, both drivers have had the opportunity to finish with the most points. We are just days away from the 2021 champion being crowned, and for this epic season to have an equally epic end. There's also the added intrigue of the new layout changes to Abu Dhabi and what impact that might have, but most of all, despite all of the drama and racing, I just hope that this is settled fairly on the track and not through a collision by either of the drivers. The 2021 season is almost over, and we have the perfect scenario for a title decider. Level on points, one race left, winner takes all. Well, another video wrapped up. I hope you did enjoy this video. Of course, let me know all of your thoughts and predictions in the comments box below. And if you did enjoy this video, then don't forget to drop a like and smash that subscribe button to support the channel. And I'll see you in the next one.